Do you want to hear a flat out, bald faced, stupid. I don't know if it's. Someone's telling her lies or she's telling lies. I mean, okay. A 4,000-year-old inheritance argument between Ishmael, the Canaanites, and the 12 tribes of Israel. It was Jacob. Israel is Jacob. But not according to whatever this idiot's name is. On the ABC.
You could face jail time for saying from the river to the sea in Queensland if new laws go through. So what exactly does that sentence mean, and why is the state government moving to criminalise it? You can find this phrase on signs or chanted at pro-Palestinian protests across the world. It refers to the land between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea, and while it has been much more visible at Western protests in recent years, it has a longer and much more complex history. To some, it's a call for Palestinian liberation. To others, it's interpreted as anti-Semitic and seen as a call for the elimination of Israel. So let's get into it. Because this stretch of geographical land between the river and the sea has sat at the heart of a decades-long conflict between Israel and Palestine, you can find it referenced in rhetoric from both sides stretching back years. For example, in the 1960s, the Palestine Liberation Organization used it to advocate for a state to supersede Israel to encompass its historic territories. In the late 1970s, the Likud party, now led by Benjamin Netanyahu, used it, saying between the sea and the Jordan there will only be Israeli sovereignty. At the time, much of this language was tied to a vision of a single state across the territory. Today, when people use it, the meaning has become much more contested. Palestinian activist groups like the Australian Muslim Advocacy Network say it's emerged as a phrase that calls for an end to violence and rather for Palestinian self-determination after decades of Israeli military rule over millions of Palestinians. They argue it's a call for equality of treatment for all groups, not a call to expel Jewish people. But for groups like Australia's peak Jewish body, it's hate speech, calling for a Palestinian state that dismantles the Jewish one through the forced removal of Jews from their homeland. The body says many Jewish people understand the chant to be linked to violence against Israeli Jews, pointing to Hamas's use of it in its charter, which Australia has recognised as a terror organisation. Now, when the news broke of potentially jailing people in Queensland over this phrase, here is how the Council for Civil Liberties summarised the clash. Many Jewish people would say it means wiping Israel from the map, the Watchdog's president said. Other people would say it's a criticism of the way Israel has conducted themselves in Gaza and in the West Bank well before October 2023 and after. So what exactly are the proposed laws in Queensland? Under the new legislation, public use of from the river to the sea to cause menace, harassment or offence will be banned, with a maximum penalty of 2 years in prison. The state government has labelled both it and globalised the Intifada as terrorist slogans, prohibiting the reciting or displaying of these phrases. So why now? All of these proposed changes ultimately come in the wake of the Bondi Beach terrorist attack. Since then, Jewish community groups have been calling for greater action against anti-Semitism, and the country has been grappling with how best to do that. At a national level in January, Parliament passed the toughest federal hate speech laws in Australia's history. With these tensions front and centre in Australia right now, both state and federal authorities are grappling with where the line is between the freedom of speech, the freedom to protest, and the need to protect groups from hatred.
Wow. You bet you kind of stupid, ain't you? That's alright. You can sleep out with the dog. No, not the dog inside, the dog outside. What dog outside? You ain't out there yet, are you? Okay, lady, young girl, young lass. It's a 4,000-year-old argument over an inheritance to do with an illegitimate son of Abraham by the name of Ishmael. This is the lands of Abraham and the 12 tribes of Jacob, and Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Israel is not a place, it's a man. And the place where the nation state of Israel is occupying is called Canaan. So what we're actually talking about here is Canaanites. And how did this come about? Well, you see, there was a lot of displaced, misplaced, nowhere to live Jews after World War II. So in 1948, the United Nations annexed that land and created what we call an apartheid, and gave the Jewish people somewhere to live. Now, with the annexure of Canaan and Palestine, which is actually the Philistines, which are all Arab nations, who all get along quite well with one another, including Iran and Pakistan and Turkey and so forth and so on. They don't have any problem with anybody else, just the Canaanites. And there's always had problems with the Canaanites for 4,000 years. But you keep telling yourself that, love. Whatever helps you sleep at night.